Hey everybody, this is Ryan Malley, and we're going to talk about Tesla stock being added to the S&P 500. Does that make Tesla stock a good buy? Should you buy Tesla stock right now? Is this going to make Tesla stock a more profitable company going forward and hence a better investment for your money? Or is Tesla stock just an overvalued company like many would argue? We're going to dig into all of that. We're going to go over the daily chart, the weekly chart, the monthly chart. We're going to go over the potential trade setups that are out there for the Tesla stock right now and more. Let's get right into it. So if you're not aware, the Tesla stock was added to the S&P 500 today. That means it'll be included in the S&P 500 prior to the market open on December 21st, 2020, just a little more than a month away. That means that ETFs like SPY are going to have to buy a lot of shares. There's going to be a huge rebalancing that's going to take place. In fact, so much so that they may have to do it over 2 different tranches, which is not typical for a stock being added to the S&P 500. As a result, there is a very good chance that you will see a lot more buying in the days and weeks ahead. And you got to remember, this is a huge company. It has a market cap of over $400 billion. That means that there is going to have to be a lot of shares being bought up. Huge purchase. Now, in order to be included in the S&P 500, you have to have 4 consecutive quarters of net profits. Tesla has had 5. What people will argue is like in the last quarter, they had $331 million of profit, but they had $397 million of government subsidies. And so technically, without the government subsidies, would they be where they're at today? Probably not. But that doesn't keep people from buying Tesla cars. I mean, I bought one. I didn't get a single tax credit at all for buying a Tesla Model 3. And while the Tesla stock may rally in these weeks ahead, and in fact it already has in the after hours, it's up over 13%. It closed at 408.09, and it's trading at almost $462 a share, which kind of sucks because there was a really good trade setup developing, but we can get into that more and how we can modify it going forward. But it should be known that once they're added into the S&P 500, they tend to lag the S&P 500 in the year that follows. So just because they're added to the S&P 500 doesn't necessarily mean that they're just going to take off because they're included. Look, I know there's a lot of people that'll throw a hissy fit about anything that's negative said about Tesla. My goal here is not to hate on Tesla or to pump it up. I'm just here to try to tell you what I see in the stock, what I see in the charts, and how I see it going forward. And right now, Tesla has the largest car valuation out there. And so there's some risks posed to the S&P 500 that if Tesla does start to have a big pullback, and we've seen it before, it could have a huge impact on the S&P 500 as well. In fact, there's a lot of critics out there that says that they still shouldn't have been added to the S&P 500 this time around. But let's give credit where credit's due. 2020 has been one awful kind of a year for a lot of companies, but not for Tesla. Tesla has continued to grow and be profitable. But let's go ahead and dig into this daily chart here and see what we're looking at going forward. I'd also like to take a moment here real quick before I dive into the charts to tell you about the YouTube membership channel here. You can click down below where it says join. You're going to get all my information throughout the week. Man, every day I'm giving you guys lots and lots of information on my YouTube membership. That's going to include everything from multiple market updates each week. I'm going to give you updates on the S&P 500, the Russell 2000, the NASDAQ 100. I'm also going to give you updates on all the FANG stocks, including Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, and Microsoft, and Tesla, as well as updates to my personal watch lists multiple times a week. You're also going to get the most interesting charts and trade setups that I find each and every day. So make sure to click join down below and find the package that works for you. All right, let's pull up that daily chart here, and you can see on the daily chart, you have a nice triangle pattern that has been forming since the beginning of September. We're talking about 2.5 months here. It has been perfect. It tried to break out one time, it failed, but with today's news, it's gonna gap above this triangle pattern here. Now, what you have to be careful of is that you don't go chasing it at the open and then all of a sudden you see this nasty fade that takes place thereafter. If you don't think that's possible, then look at SPY back on Monday where we gapped up over 120 points higher only to fade the entire day on vaccine news. So when it comes to Tesla, yes, there could be a sell the news event. It's always possible, even with the most bullish of news events. So if I'm trading the stock, I'm going to make sure that I give it some time to settle in before making any kind of trading decisions on it. But ideally, this triangle pattern, the place where I would want to have gotten long at would be 440. Now we're going to gap above that, so that's not possible unless it does have that fade back. And then if it starts to fade, you're going to wonder, okay, do I need to let it settle in first and then consolidate some before getting back to the long side? My stop loss would have been at 395, which would have been below the bottom part of the triangle. And even then, entry price of 440 and a stop loss of 395 is like an 11% stop loss. That's a little bit too much. So the number one thing that traders need from Tesla right now in its chart is for some consolidation. Yes, it's okay that it gaps up higher, but it needs to consolidate some in the days ahead. You don't want it to go straight parabolic and then all of a sudden you're left without an opportunity to get long on a stock. Now, if you're already long on the stock, then yes, of course, you want the stock to go as high as it can possibly go. I don't fault you for thinking that at all. But even then, if you're in that position, you need to make sure that if this is a trade for you, that you're locking in profits. You don't want profits to go by the wayside. So for me in my trade, when I get a big news event like this, I'm going to look to book some of the profits and then I'll let the rest ride. Now, when you account for today in the post-market hours, you can see it is clearly above this triangle pattern. If you look at the 5-minute chart, you can see again, tons and tons of volume, and after hours, far more than what we saw during regular trading once the news was released. So there's a lot of buying power, a lot of momentum, and you're going to see a lot more probably coming in the days that follow. The big question is whether or not there's going to be a lot of people looking to take profits as well that will overwhelm the amount of buying that's going on. Now, keeping that post-market candle on the chart here, let's look for that secondary breakout. First off, you have some key short-term resistance at this 462 level. That's right where we closed the after hours trading at. Now, if it can break above that, then you may have another push higher towards that $500 mark. While that may give you about a $40 reward opportunity, you want to make sure that you're not risking any more than half of that on the trade to give you that 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio. And in order to do that, that would require that you put a stop loss right around probably like 442, which is right where the original breakout area would have been. So if it pulls back to that area, there's a little bit of that triangle support pattern there that could lead to it bouncing back up to that 460 level right after you get stopped out of the trade. So I don't think that there's a great stop loss position there. So then as a result, I think I have to let the price settle in a little bit and see if there isn't some more support levels that can be developed in order to find the right place to maximize the reward while minimizing the risk on the trade. Now let's look at the weekly here. Box consolidation for 2.5 months, not been able to break out of it. But with this news, it's been enough to probably take this thing outside of that 462 area that it's been hitting its head against. On the monthly though, it's a little bit more scary. It's had a 2-month pullback, but it doesn't even look like that 2-month pullback was enough for the stock. It looks like it could definitely pull back some more. So the best thing for the monthly would probably be to have a little bit more consolidation like what we've seen on the weekly chart, in order to cool price off, because it's clearly overbought on the monthly chart. It's had a meteoric rise, it's parabolic. And so the monthly chart should give us a little bit of concern that there is the potential for a significant pullback here. In the end, most of us are going to take what we want from these charts. If you're bullish, you're going to look at the bullish aspects. If you're bearish, you're going to look at the bearish aspects, like what I just mentioned on the monthly chart. I'm trying to give you a balance between the two. With every trade, there's potential reward, and with every trade, there's potential risk. And so what I want to do with this channel is always outline and highlight those areas of reward and those areas of risk. It does me no good just to build up your self-esteem or to tell you what you want to hear. That's not what I'm here to do. And I know that Tesla is a revolutionary company. They are creating these electric vehicles that's got the attention of GM, Ford, and pretty much every car maker out there. But we have to look past that and see what is the charts telling us. What is the risk there on the trade? We can't buy into just pure hype, pure speculation. We need to look at the charts and manage the risk along the way. If you like this video, I encourage you to like and subscribe. It helps me build this channel and continue to build its reach, and allows me to also continue to provide you with regular videos on the most interesting and noteworthy developments in the stock market each and every week. And tell me down in the comments below, what is your plans? If you're already in Tesla and you held up to this point, are you going to start selling into this rally tomorrow, or are you going to continue to hold and wait to see what happens with the rebalancing that takes place right before it's added to the S&P 500? Or are you going to buy the stock tomorrow and hope that it continues to rise going into the end of year? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys, and God bless.